Howdy hikers, Ben from Snowies here. Today taking you for a walkthrough of the Telos TR2 Ultralight Hiking Tent from Cedar Summit.
Hit it.
Ultralight Hike Tent from Cedar Summit has a freestanding design, 2 entryways, multiple setup options, and a choice of inner materials to suit just about any climate. Before we dive into this product, there is loads more content like this on our YouTube channel, so make sure you like and subscribe and you'll get notified of all of our latest content. Now let's jump in. I've got set up next to me here the Cedar Summit Telos TR2 tent. These ultralight tents from Cedar Summit are really well considered. I've got a lot of confidence in the Cedar Summit brand, and the design and thought and research they put into all of their products is really well reflected in this tent here. Everything has a use. It pitches really nicely. Everything seems to work really well, and the quality of the materials that they use is second to none. I'm going to run through all the features today. Before I do that, I just want to explain the range a bit, because when we're talking about the Telos, we're talking about the whole range, of which there's actually 5 tents. There's a 2 and a 3 person version, and in each of those sizes you get a model with either a 15 denier mesh or a 20 denier nylon inner. So the nylon is a full nylon inner. Not as much breeze runs through that, so it's better for cooler climates. Now on top of that, there is a 5th version, which is a bike packing version. We've got another video on the differences between the Alto and Telos range and the bike packing range. Check that out, but basically it's got a shorter pole section with different packing options to suit bike packing. The Telos TR2 is what we're running through here today. This is the version with the mesh inner. We're gonna start with the fabrics. So the fly sheet here is a 15 denier polyester siliconized PU coated nylon. Feels really light, almost paper thin. You'd be mistaken for thinking this was like a not a very strong fabric, but the tensile strength of these is really good. It's ripstop, really strong, really durable materials. You're not going to have an issue with this, particularly for a fly, because it's not rubbing against the ground. Has a 1200 millimeter water head rating. So it's the same fly on all models of the tents. Now the differences come into play when you look inside. So roll this up so we can see the inner here. Now this is the 15 denier polyester mesh inner. This is good for hot and humid climates. The Plus version has a 20 denier nylon inner, which is a white fabric, and it has vents in it as well to increase ventilation. That's better for cold climates. It's going to stop the wind ripping through the tent, and it's going to trap the warmth in a little bit more. So 2 options, same tent, slightly different weights, but they just perform differently in different weathers. Now the floor varies between the regular and the Plus versions as well. So the regular here is a 20D nylon with a 2000 or 2500 millimeter water head rating. So designed for drier climates. Once again, if you're in damp, cold, wet climates, the nylon version has a 30 denier floor with an 8000 millimeter water head rating. So it's going to offer better water protection in really wet climates. Now there are footprints available. It's always good to use a footprint with the tent if you can. If you're using it on soft ground like this, the floor is going to last a long time. If you're using it on rough ground, the footprint's going to make the floor last longer, and there's 2 versions available. One that just comes to here and covers just underneath the floor of the tent, and then a larger version that actually comes out and fills the vestibule as well. So if you want to cover this space, if it's wet ground, you want to cover that and put your gear on top of it, get the larger footprint, but they're optional accessories. The last material I want to talk about is the frame. Now these are DAC Featherlight aluminium poles. DAC is a brand on its own that just make poles, and Cedar Summit have actually teamed up with a gentleman called Jake Lahr, who's the head designer at DAC. A lot of experience in putting together like frames like this with fabric materials. And they've used him to come up, or they've teamed up with him to come up with this, what they call their tension ridge design. So traditional tents with this design will have poles that come straight out and they end up sloping downwards on the side here. They've actually designed it with this hub here such that these poles angle upwards. It lifts the height of the tent up higher, which raises the height of the side of the tent. Traditionally, tents like this will have a pole that comes straight out and this will slope downwards, so the top of the door might sit down around here. These poles slope upwards, which raises the height of the door to here. This is the actual top of the door here, so a tall person like me, I'm squatting down and I can almost fit underneath that as it is. Pulls the sides of the tent out a long way, so you've got tons of vertical space in there. and it creates this sort of dry entry. If you do unzip this to a certain point, even if it drips down, it's not going to drip inside the tent. You can zip that closed and it creates a bit of a dry entry there. Now on top of that, the tension ridge raises the height of the tent and gives them space to do this really big vent on the top here, which is going to help significantly with the condensation. Now you can open and close this from the outside, not the inside of the tent, unless you were to reach up between the inner and the outer. So open this up and we create this vent here that goes straight to the inside of the tent. There's a lip around here so that if any water does get forced, wind-driven rain does get forced up here, it hits this lip and doesn't drip over inside the tent. Probably still best to set this up away from the prevailing winds. But this creates this really big ventilation space high up in the tent. They've allowed space at the base of the tent. If we have a look down the bottom here, you see there's space up underneath here to allow ventilation up underneath here. So you get airflow from underneath through the tent and up out the top of the tent, even cross ventilation through the other side to really help you manage condensation inside the tent, which is usually the biggest source of getting wet inside the tent on a cold night, it's condensation. So if you can create that airflow, reduce that condensation, you're going to sleep far more comfortably. Now a bit of a walk around the outside of the tent. Not much to show, it's pretty straightforward. The foot end of the tent here, we can see the shape of the pole, 2 attachment points for guy ropes here. You get guy ropes come with your kit and they're easily added and removed from here with a little boomerang attachment, so you don't have to leave them attached to the tent all the time. Coming around to this side here, same as what we saw on the other side. This is a second entrance, so we've got a zipper up here, the second vestibule here to access inside of the tent. You have got tabs on the top corners here which you can use for your partial fly setup. If you can actually roll this fly up and attach it down the middle here, so you can just sleep under the mesh, inner mesh if you like, and have it ready to roll out. We show you that in our setup video, so check that out, but you can use this to attach that or attach another guy rope there if you like. Now there's a couple of other guy rope attachment points partway down the door here. This is on the storm flap side, so you could guide this out if you like, and that's just going to pull the vestibule out a little bit to create a bit more internal space. Coming around to the head end of the tent, you've got, we haven't quite got this lined up right here, but we've got 2 more guy points here, one on this point here and one on this point here, so we can attach guy ropes on it. And then those vents at the top here. I should mention while I'm here, you can't actually close these vents. These little stiffener bars are fixed in there. If you want to close the vent, you do up this panel inside here and that keeps you nice and dry. Now I'll come back to the front of the tent, or the side that we're going to get in, and I want to show you inside the tent. Now as I creep in, I'm just going to grab these and show you what is included with the tent, or what it packs away in. So it actually, you find out more about these in our setup pack up video. These are the storage sacks that you come in, so poles, fly sheet and inner. This allows you to pack it separately in your pack, to divide it up if you like, and these also become storage pockets and light bars inside the tent. So let's crawl inside and show you how those are attached. So I'm going to start, before I go into all the features inside, I'm going to start with how to set these up. So this is designed with, you can see you've got press studs on the back here, one at each end. It's got a draw cord at each end, and it's designed such that you throw your head torch in there. It's not going to show very well during the day here. You throw your head torch in there, throw a couple of head torches in there if you want. You've got 2 people, and this is designed just to diffuse the light a little bit. Not a good example in the light or the sunlight here today. If you turn that around and shine it back the other way, it's a white panel in there, so it's going to give a bit of a diffused light. This attaches up the top of the tent here. We've got these little tabs here that say light bar. So we can attach this clip onto here and then do the same thing on the other side here. I've got my head torch in here. I've had 2 head torches. This is now diffused light shining, so a bit of a light bar. So that's our pole bag that's now our light inside the tent. You could also use it for other storage, I suppose, if you liked. Now, furthermore, if we grab the other 2 storage bags that came with your tent and just fold the black top over a little bit like this to reveal these tabs in here. These correlate with the tabs in these corners here. So if I clip this on here and this one on here, fly storage bag now becomes a useful storage bag while we're in camp. We've got this little pocket here and a big storage pocket there. Next to that, there is a mesh pocket as well, which we'll cover off on now while we're here, so you can store other things in this mesh pocket, but this is going to keep things a bit drier. On the opposite corner to that, same deal with a slightly larger bag. Fold the top over, reveal the tabs, clip them on here. And you've got another storage pocket in this corner here, and another mesh pocket here too. So all of the storage bags that your tent gets packed away in for transit now have a use once you're actually in camp as well. Rather than just getting stuffed in the corner and potentially lost or you can't find them, they have a use once you're in camp. The only exception being your little bag of pegs and guy ropes if you're not using them. I should also mention that you do get extra pegs in here, and you also get a pole repair sleeve. And it's not in here at the moment, I'm not sure what's happened to it, but you do get a little fabric repair kit as well. But hey, you can store that inside here and you're not going to lose that. That's also semi-waterproof storage overnight. So other features in the tent, we've covered off on most of them really. There are some little tabs that run along here, along the top of the tent down to the corners. You could use them for lantern attachments, or if you're using power cord and you just want to secure a cable or something, you could use them for that. Not really any other features inside. It's pretty straightforward. Another tab at this end here, but by the time you go to that storage and your light bar and everything, it's pretty much all you need. In terms of space inside, it's about 105 centimeters. So I'm 6'1", 185 centimeters. It's about 105 centimeters to this point up here, a little bit less with the light bar, but at 6'1", I'm able to comfortably sit up inside here. And we can see this tension ridge pole creates tons of vertical space. It actually slopes out, in and back out again at the base here. So there's heaps of space at the base for a mat. And there's lots of low level vertical space as well. So in terms of room for pillows and bulky sleeping bags, these sides here are quite vertical. So it's one thing to say you've got lots of floor space, but if this floor space is angled back, you don't get much usable space. In these tents, in all Cedar Summit tents, they've considered the usable space down low, which is where you've got the bulk of all your sleeping gear. Now I've got just a regular size ultra lightweight Cedar Summit mat in here at the moment. Got it tucked over the other side, so it's really designed as an ultra lightweight tent to fit two ultra lightweight mats in here, or lightweight mats in here. So fit a second one there and you'd be snug. You can fit your bag and most of your gear in the vestibule on each side of the tent. If I lie down in here, as I mentioned, 6'1", I've got headspace here. It's about 215 centimeters total length from end to end. I've got size 13 feet that comfortably fit vertically at the end there. And width-wise, it's about 109 centimeters at the feet and about 134 centimeters at the head end here. So there's tons of space on the floor level, but still heaps of space lying down as well. So slightly higher up the tent here, I've still got heaps of shoulder space. This tent, while it's near me, isn't hanging on me. So I've got tons of space down low in the tent. If I was to sit straight up, this is slightly against my shoulder, but I could probably sit up with someone else with broad shoulders next to me here and have plenty of space. We're not impeding each other's room. So heaps of room inside the Telos TR2 tent. It's a bit of a tour of the Telos TR2 tent from Cedar Summit. Cedar Summit don't cut corners in anything they design or put together or put in the market, and the tent range is no exception. I think the Telos is going to be a really popular tent for just about any adventure. Heaps of room, lightweight, and multiple packing options, let alone multiple setup options. So it's going to fit just about any adventure. That's the Telos TR2 from Cedar Summit. Check them out online at snowies.com.au.